Welcome to the Sales and Marketing Playbook Unleashed, the premier podcast for innovative growth strategies, hosted by two seasoned experts. Meet Evan Polin, the president of Polin Performance Group, a master in sales coaching with over 2 decades of experience. Evan is not just a consultant, he's a force in sales, focusing on mindset, planning, and skill development. He's also the co-author of Selling Professional Services the Sandler Way. Joining him is Craig Andrews, partner and CEO of Beholder Agency, an expert in growth marketing. With 20 years under his belt, Craig blends marketing creativity with strategy to propel businesses forward, making Beholder Agency a leader in effective marketing solutions. Together, Evan and Craig are here to share their wisdom on winning strategies, best practices, and transformative insights that will fuel your growth. Get ready to revolutionize your sales and marketing approach right here on the Sales and Marketing Playbook Unleashed.
And welcome to the Sales and Marketing Playbook Unleashed. I'm Craig Andrews, and here's my partner in crime, Evan Polin. And Evan, I'm going to take us back a little bit here, okay? And I'm going to tell everybody here kind of one of the first things you taught me when we had our training, our sales training, and it goes to I make sure I didn't butcher it here. People tend to do business with people they like. You remember that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm part of our show today is going to be talking about more of a community, right? So if you think about doing business with people you like, generally it's focused around the guy next door, or it might be the guy up the street, or the guy you've always gone to. And today's conversation is going to talk about these terms I'm going to use pretty frequently throughout the show, which is local digital marketing, local SEO, or near me searches, right? So think about that when we're talking about doing business with people we like.
And Craig, and I know it's been a little while since you did some training, did some coaching. There are two other rules that go along with people like to do business with people that they like that I think will fit in very well to our topic today.
Hit me.
And that is people like to do business with people like themselves.
Oh, good one.
And it's more about who you know than what you have. People who've got really good, really solid relationships tend to be more successful, even if somebody else has a slightly better product, slightly better service. So again, if you're well known within your community, within the marketplace, that's going to go a really long way to how successful you are or you're not.
So part of our story line today is what happens if you don't know people that's near you? How do you go about it? Let's say, for instance, you and I, we go to Vegas and we say, hey, let's get something to eat. How would you go about finding that?
Well, first of all, if you and I went to Vegas, nobody would know what happened in Vegas when we got back from Vegas.
That's right. You're right. But me, I'm a more digital guy, right? So I probably get on my phone and go, what?
And let me share with you, as you know, some of our audience knows, I'm a huge Eagles fan. So in a couple of weeks, my father and I, the last couple of years, every year we've done a road game, going on a road trip. We're going down to Nolens to check out the Eagles and the Saints. And I am going on to TripAdvisor. I'm Googling, looking up names of restaurants, names of places that are going to be close. Yep. And that's going to be a big part of where I'm going to figure out where I'm going to go, where I'm not going to go, is what's coming up. As I'm doing those searches. And if I don't know about something, there's no way I'm going to get there.
That's right. And so part of our talk today is going to be talking about how do you show up as a business owner in those local searches. It is a major, major, major deal that you as a business owner who wants to get more business are showing up in those local searches. And so with that being said, Evan, I'm going to throw to you, introduce our next guest who is dear to my heart.
Well said. And you better say that or you're going to be in trouble after the show.
I think so. Wink, wink, nod, nod.
But I am very excited to introduce somebody who's been a friend, a business partner, somebody that I've worked with off and on over the years, and that's Emilia Andrews. Emilia has over 25 years of experience as a serial entrepreneur and agency partner with Beholder. Over the last 4 years, she served as a fractional CMO with some of the nation's leading law firms, home service companies, restaurants, and retail products. Her primary role is to take the business to the next level by improving marketing processes sales, and engagement that boosts companies' valuations and really makes the company what it's worth. She's honed this so well that she was awarded as an M&A Growth Marketer of the Year by Acquisition International for 2 years in a row. So, Emilia, welcome to the podcast. We're excited to have you today.
Thank you so much. Appreciate being here.
So you can tell why I had to do a lot of butt kissing. Anyway, so let's start this show off. So, Hun, I know that you're very acclimated when it comes to digital marketing as a whole. So kind of give it this definition of local digital marketing. How would you describe it in your words? I know, but I want to hear from you.
Sure. So, especially when I talk to folks that really aren't familiar with it, for instance, if you are a business owner, you own a restaurant, manage a law firm or whatever the case may be, a lot of times people flag off marketing because there's so many tools available that they're like, oh yeah, it's easy, no big deal. But there's a lot of little intricacies that are involved that if you don't do all the little things, you technically wouldn't be necessarily found locally. And so a lot of times what I always ask folks is think about where you are located. And by local meaning, is your consumer who you're trying to do business with near you? Then if they are, then you're going to want to make sure that you are relevant and found locally within your community. And by the community, I don't always just mean around the corner, around the block. We're talking 5, 10, 30 miles. These days people can travel anywhere. So if you can find folks, if they can find you, I should say, that would be at the crux of digital marketing as it relates to Google searches, your website, social media, content, and anything else that relates to how you may position your company.
Emilia, I have a question that you kind of intimated it, but I just want to make sure. So there's actually like strategies and skills behind it, and it's not the kind of thing that an entrepreneur, a business owner, a managing partner should just intuitively know when there's actually like some expertise and some strategy behind it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, as far as the strategies are concerned, this is where you and I, Evan, really work well together, because a lot of times when folks think marketing, they think the final end product, meaning, well, look at this pretty graphic, or let me put a social post up, or let me write a blog, or whatever. I tend to work backwards. And by backwards meaning, what are you trying to accomplish? What is that strategy that helps you connect the dots from your sales objectives? And then what do you actively need to do in order to make that happen? And so a lot of times I find a lot of the company owners and folks just throw spaghetti on the wall, like, oh, hey, I have a nice looking site. Great. But if nobody's coming to it and it's really not driving the traffic that you need, and you don't have enough foot traffic, say if it's a restaurant coming through your door, then that pretty site means absolutely nothing. So to me, it's more a matter of correlating the two. Your goals, what are you trying to achieve, as well as far as on the sales side of things, revenue side of things, and then putting a strategy in place that's actually going to make that happen.
So, what I'll say is that Evan and I are very dedicated to bringing people to the show who can perfectly meld between the sales and the marketing side. And so, Emilia, you work at it as a fractional CMO in a lot of lawsuits, law firms and things of that fashion, right? And this touches upon Evan's non-selling professionals. So imagine those two worlds coming together and being able to apply it from a localized perspective. Some of the people who are in that local search perspective would be restaurants we touched upon. It would be healthcare stuff. It would be lawyers. It would be home maintenance people. All those people would really benefit from a localized search. And to Evan's point, which he's always getting on me on, and how did that work for you? That's his token line. And Emilia, you've kind of picking that up. So how did that work for you? Yeah. Did you actually get phone calls? Did it actually lead to something? Evan, what's your viewpoint?
I mean, you guys have never had a client that kept banging their head against the wall, doing the same wrong thing over and over again and being upset about the results that they got. I mean, has that ever happened?
I actually find myself to be a little sadistic now. I'm like, go ahead, keep hitting your head. Keep hitting that head and then call me later,
I'll be here when you're done with the headaches. I'll be here.
Right.
So, and actually along those lines, with the two of you from a marketing perspective, is there actual data that you can look at when people are doing marketing and local marketing to be able to tell if something's working, if something's not working?
Go ahead, Craig.
Okay. So when we're talking about the local search, there's this wonderful thing called Google My Business. And here's the thing that's funny about it. It's a free tool.
Technically, Google Business Profile, because they love changing stuff up all the time.
Yes, I stand corrected. Google Business Profile is his new name. And so it's a free tool that allows you to optimize it. So think about how most people in business might use Facebook or might use Instagram or might use Twitter. This is another social platform that you just have to continue to update. And all of a sudden, if you update it with all the other assets that you have, whether it be photos, videos, what services you offer, and so forth, it'll start to expand your importance in your local community. But here's the catch. You talked about data. It has a platform that shows you how many people called your website or called your business from that portal, how many people visited, how many people were in a position that they responded. If you're a restaurant, how many people looked at your menu, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's free, but the catch is most people aren't using it. And that's why.
If I could jump in real quick, and this is more for everybody that I know 100% has seen it. Have you ever seen that little red bar, or it's like a bunch of little notches that it's like their hours, and it says busier than usual or slower than usual? That is an example of the type of data, because your cell phone is what tracks all of it. It literally tracks everything that you're doing and attaches it to whatever local business you're at. So for those brick and mortar retail restaurants or whatnot, it is a phenomenal tool, because those people physically are coming in, or DoorDashers are coming in. So you're seeing all of that activity.
Wait, this is shocking. Google tracks what we're doing?
Everything.
And here we go. Data. I love data. And now they supply that data. So, Evan, would it be smart from a sales perspective to know exactly the time of day that a client might come to you, what type of things they're looking for, how they might need you, and actually have an actual need? Would that help a salesperson?
That would be phenomenally helpful in terms of putting together the strategy. And the reason that we work so well together is it can also help a company, if they're not hitting their goals, figure out what the problem is. Because if the marketing's working and it's driving the people in and it's driving the opportunities, but the business isn't closing, we now know it's a sales problem or a service problem and not a marketing problem. And we can focus on fixing that part of the business.
That's right.
If everybody who's walking in the door is becoming a customer, but there's not enough people walking in the door, now we know it's a marketing problem and something needs to change from a marketing perspective. Or, and again, I know you guys had a client like this recently, the people who were walking into the restaurant weren't the right kind of people, and what they were doing in their marketing wasn't attracting the audience that was really their customer.
That's right.
And if you don't have the data and you're not tracking that, all you're going to know is sales are down, they're not where I need them to be, and you're not going to know why. If you've got that and you're professional and you're searching in the right way, you can then now come up with solutions if we're not achieving the goal. And if things are going well, you can go back and see, okay, well, what are we doing? And is there any way to ramp that up even more so we can be doing even better than we're doing right now?
Yep.
Actually, if I could jump in on that real quick too, the law firm that I was a fractional CMO for an entire year. What we ended up finding was, as far as marketing wise, lead generation was coming in, sales team, as far as getting it to the next level, was great. The issue that we found was actually on the operation side when it came to the onboarding and the filling out the paperwork and all of that other stuff that ended up being the bigger frustration, which ended up becoming a marketing problem, because then negative reviews started playing into effect and people started dropping out. So it's just like, for myself, I love looking at the full sequence of things. It's not just from, oh, great, a lead came in, that's it. Well, was the lead good? If it ended up going through the process, then great, yes. And they wanted to sign on, beautiful. But then where did it fall off that ended up becoming a marketing issue again? So it's that full circle approach to really seeing Like it really is the devil's in the details. So you want to just make sure, like, what do we need to address? What do we need to create a system or a process for? What do we need to actually fix or get rid of something and then further boost something else that was working well? And it's a constant change to make sure that you're addressing the needs of the customer now, not maybe how they behaved 5 years ago.
So when it comes to this localized SEO, local digital marketing, you would figure with all this wonderful things that we're saying about it, why aren't more people doing it? Right. And here's a couple reasons why. One, there are still businesses out there without a Google business profile. That's one. If you don't have it, you can't show up in that localized search. So imagine that. Just that simple fact of having a profile. But
Or,
it's not,
or if you didn't claim it.
if you didn't claim it. Correct. So Google's looking for you out there. They really are. Two, not only do you have to have it, but you have to continuously update it like you would have to continuously update your social media. If you're in a situation where you're a lawyer and you're doing a new type of practice, or a new type of service within your practice, you have to update that, because as people are searching for that said service, you're in a position where you're showing that you're actively in that business and working. Right. So those are little things. And part of the reason why we're even in business doing this is because that task, similar to our last guest, is something that's hard for businesses to stay with. Right. Because ultimately, what ideas am I going to put up there? What am I going to say? What am I going to do? Am I able to monitor the information? Evan, you and I both know that people don't go back and look at the data like they should be, just so they can try and get a lead. And what happens to salespeople who don't follow their KPIs?
They don't hit their goals.
They don't hit their goals. So the same thing applies here.
Right. And the other thing that we find is the entrepreneur, the business owner, the managing partner, they are running a business. They don't have the bandwidth to do it. And if you're trying to put that on your plate, in addition to running your business and everything else, it's going to get lost in the sauce. It's not what we're most comfortable with. It's not what we prefer doing. Client fires, client emergencies come up. So if we don't have somebody watching over that, it's going to get lost and we're going to lose out on a huge opportunity.
So, Emilia, going back to you, not that it's just me and Evan again, because I still love you, dear. But anyway, so when you have people, and I'm going to kind of tag into Evan's term here in terms of non-selling professionals, how can something like local digital marketing help them for non-selling professionals?
So the one big thing that I find is a lot of business owners really do believe marketing is a set it and forget it. And it's not. It just really isn't. And so with the non-selling pro, for instance, engineers, architects, lawyers, etc., accountants, you're not thinking, again, like Evan just brought up, you're really not thinking about, hey, how do I promote myself? How do I position myself so that way I can do that? Because that's not the type of business that they're in. If you're a real estate agent, face first, I'm out there, I got to sell you this property. They're just in such a habit to gather that and put themselves out there. Whereas the non-selling professionals, they just don't have that type of character, that type of personality. Now, I'm not saying that they're not, introverts, extroverts, or whatnot. I'm saying they don't have the actual time to be consistent. And as tedious as marketing has become, it's really where they have to turn around and understand, if I don't put myself out there, I'm actually making my life harder, because I still need to grow my business, my practice, my firm, whatever the case may be. Even on a medical side of things, dentists or whatnot, there's such an issue that people are having that they're just so used to, people will contact me. Well, if they cannot be found, they won't be. And I want to touch upon this. 86%, and this is straight from Google, 86% of all visitors that are looking at a search will only look at those top 3. Which means if you're not in those top 3 of like the Google places or whatnot, so if you can imagine looking at a Google, search thing, the very top is all advertising. The very next thing is Google Places, and that's your local listing. And if you're not there, they just go beyond that. They rarely hit to look more, to go to another page. Yes, they'll look further down, but now that's more blogs and other pages. So if you're not there, imagine this, you having to fight for the attention of only a 14% stake. You're never going to, it's like you're shooting yourself in the foot. So by putting these type of, things in place with your local marketing, with the Google, with as far as Google, My Business, the Google Business Profile, all of those little local digital marketing aspect of things, you've just made yourself far more important by being up there in the top 3, of which 86% of the visitors are watching.
And it's interesting you bring this up. I just did a kickoff program with a firm earlier this week, met with the managing partner. And again, you mentioned the real estate agents and then wanting them out. When I talked about it and talked about, Google, LinkedIn, those kinds of things, his initial response was, oh, well, I don't like to brag. I don't like to talk about myself. And, my initial response was, well, is it bragging about yourself if you're just mentioning the professional associations that you're going to, where you're exhibiting, a special that, something special that your firm may be doing, a talk you may be doing? And again, he just wasn't thinking that way because he just had kind of one idea in his mind in terms of what he thought marketing was, or something that he didn't like that he thought somebody else did. He thought that was the entire definition of what you had to put out there. And again, if somebody's working with a professional who does this all the time, we can help to massage and show you how you can do it in a way that's consistent with your brand and with your comfort level. But if you don't do it, again, if nobody knows that you exist, or they have to do a lot of digging to find you, they're moving on to the next company, to the next firm, to the next restaurant.
Yeah. Actually, go ahead, Craig.
So here's what I'll tell you. This is directly to our audience who's listening, which we're growing, by the way, Evan. We're growing. The name of this show is Sales and Marketing Playbook. We're giving you the answers. So if my man Evan is saying brag, because that way people see you, you must follow the playbook so that you can have success. So I'm going to say it again. Sales and Marketing Playbook.
Let me jump on that. You are not going to change people's personalities. You're not. But what you can change are people's processes. And so if you adjust it a little bit and saying, okay, you're a lawyer, workman's comp lawyer, just for example's sake. Do you believe that you do good work? Do you believe that you help your clients? Do you believe that you're serving them as best as you possibly can? Yes, yes, yes. Now position yourself to be a solution to their problems, to their pains, to their frustrations. You are no longer bragging. You are giving them literal insight as to how they can reach you because they have a problem and you can help them solve it. I find myself that's a better way to go about it, because now it's not a matter of saying, oh, I'm the best attorney. Woo! Great. Some attorneys are great like that. Most of them are literally head to the grindstone. They've got work to do. They've got cases. They got court calls. They've got so many other things they got to worry about that they're not ready to just beat themselves on the chest. And it's not about that. It's a matter of saying, how can I connect the dots?
Yep. And
you do this. They need your help. Connect the dots. That's it.
And I want to circle back to something you said earlier. And again, the reason that this podcast isn't just the marketing playbook, isn't just the sales playbook, but it's the sales and marketing playbook. Once you get folks in the door, once you get the phone to ring, what you are doing from a sales or business development perspective needs to reflect what you're putting out there to the universe. So again, if you are putting one face out there and then people come in and the experience they have is completely different, Emilia, going back to that law firm that you mentioned, that they were having lots of people, reach out to them. The intakes were going well, and then they fell flat when it came to the operations and actually servicing the clients. We need to make sure that we've got the right message out there. And then when they're initially interacting with us, that experience reflects what they saw. And then that we can also follow through with delivering the service, the product, whatever it is that we're promising, Otherwise, if one of the legs of the stools isn't there, the stool's going to fall and we're not going to be successful.
So let me jump in here and kind of circle back to a point that Emilia made. Ultimately, you can summarize what she said as providing great customer service. So when you're sitting back and you're talking about the local digital marketing, we like to live in what I like to call, hopefully I don't get in trouble for this, the Amazon society. We want to see the reviews. We want to see how good you are. We want to see how well people comment, right? So reviews and local listings, Emilia, I'm gonna have you talk about it, but reviews and local listings are major importance when it comes to the local SEO process. Why is that, Emilia?
So a couple different things. I mean, my head really does go all over the place, but one of the main things,
I didn't hear that.
It does. Because it's both of you all know, I think like a spreadsheet, and sometimes it's like a Plinko spreadsheet. Like, all right, what ended up landing where? But at the end of the day, truthfully, like I'll give an example of a company that we just recently provided consultation with. Oh, well, I'm a restaurant. That's great. Yes, you're a restaurant. What kind of restaurant? Well, we're a restaurant. Well, people don't think like that anymore. When you're, again, going back to your point, Craig, on Amazon, you're not just looking up soil, like I'm into gardening here. You're not looking up soil. You want, okay, best soil for succulents or best soil for, raised gardens. Like you really are starting to get a little bit deeper as to what you're looking for. So does your customer. So if you are a Greek restaurant or an Italian restaurant, or, just whatever it may be, you're going to want to be a little bit more specific versus restaurant, because then the folks that are really looking for Italian or Mexican, then they can absolutely find you versus just restaurant. And now Google's like, all right, well, where do I put you? Because you're just saying restaurant. Imagine how many that are available. I mean, technically, Chipotle, Chick-fil-A, all of them are restaurants too. So are the local diners. So do you know what I mean? Wendy's is a restaurant. So like we really, as the business owner, have to really fine tune what we're trying to say that we do. You're not just an attorney. You're a divorce attorney or this attorney or that attorney. Like what specifically do you do? If you are like an accountant, for example's sake, are you just regular consumer accountant, like I hate to say, like an H&R Block type of chain that's just like anybody and their mother can come on through here? Or are you more of a corporate accountant that helps with small businesses, that does this, that you can also provide bookkeeping? Like you really got to dig in there and then present that to folks. So then that way they know, all right, is that going down the path that I'm personally looking for? Or if you don't, you actually start getting a little bit frustrated because you're personally, as a consumer, going down a path and realizing, shoot, that's not what I wanted. I got to start all over again, So,
Evan, this reminds me of some of the networking groups we go to where people come in and go, I do this type of law. And I go, okay, help me out here. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. You know that. And I go, okay, let's say you're an attorney. Okay, what type of attorney, right? That's how I feel sometimes. The online search is the same way. Tell me your viewpoint on that, Evan.
Yeah, it's, everybody can say what they do, but it's really, who do you help? What problems do you solve? Mm-hmm. What's your customer avatar? What does a good client look like for you? And if you can't articulate that, good luck leaving it up to everybody around you to try to figure it out.
And I think that's a say that again, Evan. Just say that last line again.
If you can't figure it out yourself, good luck on allowing other people to go and try to figure out who you're supposed to be attracting.
And the same thing works online, right? We can get through it quicker. We don't have the embarrassment of sitting in your face going, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Bye. we can't do that. Like we can do that online. You don't make sense. Next. Yep. You don't make sense. Next. And next
next page.
Flip, research. All of that's possible online. So it's really important to really niche down, be as specific as possible, give as much detail, all those accolades, all those organizations, all those things that you do online. It's not bragging. It's filtering, right? Niching down to qualifying. There you go. On the sales side of things, you're qualifying exactly. So Evan, would you want to get a bunch of leads that don't care about your sales process?
Absolutely not. I need to talk to the right people. I want 3 of the right people to get in touch with me, not 300 people that are all, off target. They're really looking for a magic pill, a one-day program. What do you have for $99.99? That's not my target.
Yep.
I think that's important. And I guess, Emilia, one last question before we wrap up today's episode. What do you think are the most important marketing things that a local business should be doing?
I would say I would actually challenge them to think sales first. Okay. What are your goals?
And that's why we get along so well.
What did you just say?
I do. Because it really, truly does come about the numbers. Are you trying to hit a certain number of, whether it's revenue, number of clients, number of, like, whatever your number is. And for this case, let me just use revenue as an example. Okay. And so if you know that you have to hit a certain number of revenue over the course of the year, how are you breaking that down? Are you looking at this quarterly? Are you breaking down daily? Whatever your activities are. So whether it's a function of understanding that now this is where I switch over to the marketing side of things. So you have those numbers, and that's from that information, you're going to know, okay, what do I need to do to then establish those, to make those KPIs get into an effect. And so I'll use this example because, look, I even talked to some folks and they're like, what does KPI mean? And I'm like, okay, I'm not talking about key performance indicator in the sense that they don't know what that means. It means, okay, if I know I need to get 10 sales a month, what's my numbers backwards? That means I may need to have at least 50 close meetings, if you would. And then before that, like, so if you start looking at all those numbers going backwards, that may mean you need to have, what if it's 200 leads per month or 200 contacts per month, or if it's 500 contacts, that leads to 200 leads, that leads to 20 phone calls, as far as that next level, that leads to 10 closes. That's what you have to understand, which means on the marketing side, our job is to then get that 500 to get it to the 200. That's how you absolutely have to think about marketing. And if you yourself are not capable of doing that on your own, you need to know that this is the time for my business to really grow. I need to make an investment here. So then that way I can make those numbers happen.
It's not magic. It's not smoke and mirrors. There's a formula behind it.
Yep.
And if you don't know the formula, you need to get help to figure it out, because none of us can control whether or not that next time that phone rings, that prospect is qualified or not qualified. Yep. All we know is we need to pour a certain amount into the top of the funnel so that we get enough clients or customers at the end of the day.
Yep. And if I can add one more quick little bonus thing, once you have all of that and you know what you're trying to get, and you actually start looking at your marketing materials, like your deliverables, your social media, your blogs, your content, if that is not in alignment with what you're trying to sell, cold turkey, stop doing it and change it all up, because you're wasting time. People think, oh, well, I'm posting stuff up, but if it's not going to lead them down a path to what you're trying to accomplish, there's a whole lot of wasted effort.
Doing activity for the sake of doing activity. And if something's not working, doing 10 times the amount isn't going to make it work any better.
Right. That's right.
You guys, I just want to take you back to something you guys, I think, learned early in class with me that I think really applies here. And again, knowing you guys, I know you're going to get the right answer. What's the definition of insanity?
Go ahead, Emilia.
Same nonsense.
Over and over and
same thing over and over again and expecting different result, and doing more of the same thing over and over again isn't going to get any better result.
That's right.
So as I'm sitting here and I'm watching you guys, I see an Evan having the proud trainer moment, proud business development sales guy moment, where he's sitting there going, yeah, wow, I taught her that stuff. Yeah, I get it. I taught her that stuff.
What are we talking about? What, 15 years ago? It works. It works. And if it keeps working, keep using it.
Yes, agreed. That's why he's the guy. He's our connector. So I think we're coming to the end of the show. I want to remind everybody This is Emilia Andrews with Beholder Agency. To Emilia, tell them how people can reach you.
So actually, you can visit on beholderagency.com, or you can even come to my own site, emiliaandrews.com. Either way, come visit me. Let's talk. I always recommend setting up a call. A discovery call is exactly that. 30 minutes. Let's talk about some of your concerns, your frustrations. What are you trying to get through? And then we can move forward from there.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you having me on.
No worries. So I'm going to let you go here, hon. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye, Ev.
So again, Craig Andrews, Evan Polin. You can find us on almost any major podcast platform. You can even follow us on YouTube. If you want to see our wonderful faces, go to YouTube. If you want to hear us on your drives, go to any one of the podcasts, Apple, Amazon, all the streaming ones. They're all there. We enjoyed you guys being with us, listening to it. Again, local SEO, consider it. It's important that make sure that you're in a position that you're using that system. It's relatively inexpensive. It just takes time. If you need the help, if you need a strategy from a sales perspective, Evan's there. From a marketing perspective, I'm here. I'm Craig Andrews. That's Evan Polin, and we will talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye now.
Thank you for joining us on this exhilarating journey through the world of sales and marketing. Remember, the playbook is in your hands and the possibilities are limitless. Keep exploring, experimenting, and innovating, and watch as your business reaches unprecedented levels of success. Don't forget to subscribe to the Sales and Marketing Playbook Unleashed on all major podcast platforms, and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn for even more exclusive content. Until next time, keep hustling and keep winning.